P now.
Yeah. It's
Yo,
like, why?
so
Why?
it is wild. So folks, what's happening? Today we're going to talk about the Trump weave, and we're going to talk about test scores and other things that come to our minds that we want to talk about today. But we'll see you on the other side.
Yo, look at that.
Yo, that was wow.
The production value is crazy.
Yo, the production value is definitely something to be reckoned with here. And I'm very appreciative of that. I'm trying to get us up on IG, but I don't know what's happening here. But anyways, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. It's the beginning of the school year, starting to settle in. It's crazy. I mean, I feel like every year it feels like you got it. You feel like I have a good handle on how things are going, and it's just a new set of people, new set of adults, new set of children that all have to get used to all of the systems. So it's been a little bit busy, but I'm excited that this is at the end of my week. So I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So honestly, bro, I think that we should spend some time kind of unpacking that, right? Because like a lot of people that aren't school leaders or that are novice school leaders don't really know the amount of work that goes in on the back end in
Yeah,
terms of getting the school ready for students and families and for
yeah,
teachers for that matter, right?
yeah.
So, what do you feel like are some of the biggest challenges in terms of starting the year off in a great way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest thing for our team is making sure that, like on the student side, we have enough information about all of the students, like the intake of documents and forms, and making sure that those families are actually going to show up on the first day. They might hang out, they might come to an event, they might have filled out some applications, but then they're nowhere to be found. On the first day of school, they stopped returning phone calls. Maybe they got off the wait list of another school or something like that. And so we have a team that works all summer trying to make sure that we maximize that retention or that yield from the students that have applied and accepted their seats to the ones who actually show up on day one, so that there is few kind of fires and things to put out. And that requires, translated emails and text messages and phone calls and coordinating events at regular periods throughout the summer to make sure that that can happen. And that's just like getting the kids in the building. Then there's staff and like all the hiring that happens in the summer. And oftentimes, I feel like our school's been open for 8 years. 6 out of those 8 years, maybe 7 out of those 8 years, somebody has either backed out on an offer in the last 2 weeks, or otherwise like moved to, they had a different opportunity pop up and they had to leave our school in kind of short notice. And that makes us have to scramble on top of having to prepare for professional development and do all that stuff, getting people excited, like aligned and focused for what has to happen in the school year. And so it's a lot. There's no days off when you're school leader in the summer. So it's
Definitely no days off, and it's no days. And so with me, I think one of the challenges for me is that I like to give my principals July off, and so by giving them July off and letting them come back recharged and refreshed or whatever, it makes me 24/7 on, right? And so
yeah,
I don't I don't mind that. I find it to be a challenge because there's a lot of things that I've missed in terms of being boots on the ground.
yeah.
Um,
Man, the whole month, July.
yeah.
Damn, that's nice.
Listen,
Yeah,
listen. When you putting up numbers like how we putting up numbers, baby, you got to reward folks when you putting
that's
up
right.
numbers.
That's
Yeah,
right. Talk that talk.
man. So let me. All right. So we're both leaders in New York State, both single site charter school leaders. And for folks that are listening, single site means that there's no CMO, no charter management organization. It's just us solely running our schools based off of either per pupil funding or grants that are associated with titles 1 through 3. think you may be getting some money from a couple of orgs or whatever. But generally, we do a lot with a little in terms of what expectations are. And so for us both to be in positions to where we are competitive with CMOs, with folks that are getting large amounts of funding and donor dollars and all these other things and whatnot, I want to tip my hat to you, bro. My hat is over there, but I want to tip my hat to you in terms of the work that you're doing in Queens at Forte Prep. I think it should be on billboards.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. Likewise. I mean, I think, we, at least in the city, have the benefit of being in a kind of ecosystem that has a lot of schools, and you're kind of blazing a trail out east on Long Island that it's a different student population, different availability of like staffing resources and teachers and things like that. And so you're doing a lot with the little too, but it is something that I'm always really proud of. When I look at our data, obviously our student outcomes, something that I'm really I feel really good about. And there's obviously there are things that we can improve on and get better at, but also, if you scroll all the way down at the bottom of that data website, there's it shows you the dollars that you spend per student.
Yes, sir.
And being able to have those outcomes with while also beating the sort of average spend per student is something that makes me feel good. Makes me feel like we're being responsible with the funds that we receive from the state and the city, and also making the most of the opportunity these kids get being a part of our school. So that's awesome.
No, bro, I gotta put you on the spot here. Not putting you in the hot seat, but I'm putting you on the spot. So we both got the same letter in terms of test scores. We both got the same information in terms of it is embargoed until this date. And then after this date, you can be transparent with your data to stakeholders, to whoever, right? But you're not hearing very many people talk with their chests out in terms of how their students perform. Why do you think that's the case?
Well, I think one of the things that people are still trying to wrestle with are like what excuses are still valid. It's been a long time since, at this point, this is the fourth school year post-pandemic, and a lot of changes had to be made in order for us to kind of close the gaps with learning loss and also weather the storm of folks leaving the city or leaving the state. But at this point, you should have a pretty solid plan of how you're going forward and supporting the students that are in your building. And I think people are kind of trying to figure out what's appropriate to kind of point to when they're not meeting those goals anymore. And I've always
You're such a nice guy. You're such a nice guy. You always approach these things with such diplomacy and such class. You should teach a master class in terms of just you should teach a master class on this, bro. And so I mean, a little more different than yours.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so this year y'all ain't got no excuses. If your kids can't read, we're calling you out. Or at least I am, because I'm sick of it, bro. I'm sick of it, right? Like last year and years prior is these kids, COVID, this. All the excuses that you can use that like local media has made okay for you to use in terms of why you're not doing right by kids. Because even during COVID, even post-COVID, there were things that you could do as a school leader to ensure that your kids were making academic growth. COVID did not stop kids. COVID did not stop brains from being elastic. And so there were things that you should have done in terms of the infrastructure that you were building for your COVID taught us a lot. It should have taught you a lot about yourself in terms of just who you are as a leader. One, two, the type of money that you spend on your infrastructure, and the things that are important for you and your school community. Like
Yeah.
that taught me that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and it also, I mean, I think it exposed a lot of things about how certain schools run it, and what supports, like when you're building foundations really got rattled, like what continued to stay up, and what really was actually not the best approach or best strategy or uh, best staffing model, best student culture structures, because that was a really disruptive time. I'm not going to
Yeah,
downplay
100%.
that at all.
Yeah.
But it did expose like deficiencies in how people thought about how what it took to make school successful.
Yeah. But then also there were lessons learned like post COVID, right? That people should have, like, if your school is not one-to-one computer device to student at this
Mm-hmm.
point, like you're really not doing right by students.
Yeah.
And it also should have magnified how you outreach to parents now.
Yeah.
During COVID, there were so many options and ways in which you had to communicate with parents. So if a parent wasn't coming, they didn't feel comfortable or feel safe coming to the school for a meeting, you were via Zoom having that meeting.
Yeah.
That shouldn't change. Like all of those thinking outside of the box opportunities that we had in order to engage parents shouldn't be limited now, because we can go back to what status quo is. Like you should still be thinking outside of the box.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But here we are. But here we are, bro. But here we are. And it's like, I'm tired of seeing people. So I wrote something for LinkedIn. Shout out Laura, because she read it. When I spoke to her, she was like,
"Oh yeah, shout out Laura."
Yeah. And so you know how like when you're in NCAA and you're like, let's say you're not a Power 5 school.
Yeah.
Right? So you're not a Power 5 school, but yeah, you're knocking it out of the water in terms of what you're doing. And so what's going to happen that next year if you're a coach and you're not in a Power 5 school and you're like you're budding to be in the college championship game, or you're going to like the Final Four or something like that? What happens the next year?
You get scooped up.
You get scooped up. And you get scooped up and the bag is thrown towards you, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just how that happens. And if you're a Power 5 school and then you're winning championship after championship, right? Then who's calling next? The pros are calling next, right? Either if it's basketball or either if it's football, you'll get some people calling you for the pros, right?
Yeah.
My new proposition for folks is that instead of recycling superintendents over and over again, that are coming into these systems, not teaching kids how to read, not teaching kids how to compute, not doing anything except being the figurehead for whatever district they're in. Mm-hmm. Why aren't they reaching back to school leaders like yourself, school leaders like me, private school leaders that are like killing it? Why aren't those people getting tapped to run school systems?
That's a good question. And I think it's in the same way that there's a disconnect between like higher education, like post-secondary education, and like the academia, and how they teach versus how we have come to develop teaching and pedagogy at the secondary school level, or the K-12 system, and how there is such a big gap there. Because I think what I see at the systems level that I also see at higher education is that they get so caught up within the people that are already in those networks, and the politics that kind of weave those relationships together, that they forget that the best option might be knocking at the door and isn't actually in the room yet. And I think it kind of is like the same in politics too, right? It's like everybody's looking for the next Democratic leader or Republican leader or whoever from inside the room that they're in, when like actually the person that's making change and having impact is probably not in there trying to get access. And I think the same applies for systems level leadership, where I think the best solutions are those folks on the ground who are leading great schools, who can like transfer that knowledge and experience to systems thinking, system design to kind of push all schools forward in their kind of domain. But it's tricky, man. I mean, I think there's also a lot of like, there's like some risk aversion to it too. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like for you and me, like for the scale of our schools relative to the scale of a district like superintendent role, like we would be relatively unproven as being able to like
do that. No sir. Can't let you do that. Gotta hit you with gotta hit you with a technical foul right there.
Okay, go ahead.
The reason being is because a lot of these districts out on Long Island are like 1,000 students or less, because it's so convoluted in terms of them not wanting to get together and like combine districts. Then also,
I see.
If you're at like 800 to 1,000, scaling that is like is having the ability to go up to like 3,000, right? So like a district that has 3,000 or less, we would kill it in terms of running that school district and whatnot, right? But also, one of the apprehensions that I have in terms of doing such a thing is that you're not building it from the ground up, and these aren't your people that you're like helping to navigate throughout the nuance of school change. And like people just naturally are just resistant to change anyway. And then, you know, it's, you know, we don't say this enough, but like taking direction from Black men, that's not the easiest thing to do for some people.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, man. I mean, I take that point about the scale of those Long Island districts. I didn't think about that. I'm thinking about, you know, Queens and what it would take, like if I were trying to make the case for me in here, to kind of take on like a.
Bro, you're gonna need more space, man. You need to hightail it out to the island, bro. You need more.
Yeah, I gotta find somewhere to put my pizza oven and stuff like that. So
yes. And by the way, I got one. I ended up getting folks that are listening. Graham has a Oni, a 16-inch pizza he's cooking, and so I got jealous of the fact that he has that. So I wanted to get something that was better than his. So, and so, but I still got to pull up on him and get some of that pizza, man. So, what inspired you to even do it? And then I'm gonna tell you which one I got.
Part of it was the constraints of where I live. So I live in a co-op building. They've got like, you know, the rules about the type of grill or whatever you can have. And I was like, I want to have a pizza oven. Like, I want to have something that, you know, it's propane, so it doesn't break the like charcoal, like doesn't smell up the area. It's kind of smokeless, unless you're doing something wrong. And then, which happens. So you gotta watch out. Those pizzas will light up. And I got kind of inspired by it because it's like a cool thing to learn how to do, and 100%. It gives me a lot more appreciation for the pizza that I eat when I go out for restaurants, because I know how hard it is. So that's been fun. I just keep leveling up. Like I know Laura's got, you know, if she's listening, she had one the other day, and the last weekend or a couple weeks ago, I made some really good ones, and I'm just like, man, this is it's like a fun little.
No, where do you go to like get your the pizza dough? Are you getting it from like the local shops, or like what are you doing?
Yeah, I'm usually getting it from the local shops. My wife and I have like tried to make it a couple times. Yeah, it's time consuming, but it is good. It just you know, I don't know about all that kind of time. But the local pizza shop down the street, they'll sell you the dough for like $3-4 each, and that's good enough. Then you know, get the toppings that you want and go from there. So
so I ended up with a Ninja. I went the Ninja 8-in-1, and what convinced me to go to the Ninja the Ninja 8-in-1 is that I already have a Ninja outdoor grill, so I'm familiar with the product, so I'm not gonna kill myself trying to light it up or do it.
Wait, what's the 8-in-1 mean? What is that?
So 8-in-1 is like it's like a smoker, and it's like all these other things that you can do with it, right? So like I was
All right.
watching a video and I'm like, wait, I saw because I've had smoked mac and cheese. Like we've gone to restaurants and had smoked mac and cheese, but like,
Mhm.
what the hell are they doing? Like, how do they do this? So basically, you just whip up your mac and cheese like how you would normally do it, put it in a pan, and instead of putting it in the oven, you're putting it in the grill and like putting some wood pellets in it or whatever, and like that smoke flavor is like coming through. So man, I cannot wait.
Wow.
Got that joint on QVC. You know I'm always looking for a deal. So got it off QVC for a real good price.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I still may get an Oni. Maybe we'll do something at our school or something like that. We'll do like a pizza day for like grade levels or whatever, and everybody can make something cool like that. But
that's cool. Oh, that'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Just so that I'm making sure that I'm getting use out of it. I'll buy stuff. I'll buy a gadget, man, and like that thing will just sit there, and my wife will be like, "Well, why did you buy this again?" So I'm trying to get better with that.
Yeah.
Oh man. So we're getting into this conversation. I forgot. You got to hit the title, the title of the show. Anyway, you got to see this, man.
I do the weave. You know what the weave is? I'll talk about like 9 different things, and they all come back brilliantly together.
Actually, part of a brilliant strategy he calls the weave, Joe. I like how he lays it out like it's from a beautiful mind, like he's seeing things the rest of us don't see, and all the pieces of the puzzle are moving together.
So, of course, he has to hit back and invent something known as the weave to justify what he's done.
Bro, so when you first saw it, bro, so here's so I got a lot of concerns here, right? About Trump and the weed, right? So like my first concern is like, bro, if you follow him and like you're an avid follower of Donald Trump, and then he says some shit like this, it's like, what would make you in your right mind continue to believe that this person is the best person to run the country?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's like when you if you're like walking on the street and you like trip on like an uneven pavement and you're just like, I meant to do that. Like, that was actually a special move that I got going on with my walking these days. It's like, nobody believes that, man. Like, that's
just say you damn near fell. Like, almost fell.
Yeah, that's it. And then we would move on. That would actually give him more credibility. It's like, actually, I lost my train of thought. And
yes.
I've been like, all right. Like, thank you. That would have been the most authentic and honest like moment that you've had during this whole campaign. So,
and probably would have gained him more. Probably would have gained him more on the independent side because like, all right, well, damn, at least he's being truthful. But it's like for you to sit up and then say, "Oh, I've talked to some of my friends that are English professors, and they're like, this is the most profound thing ever." And I was like, first of all, he's like, because the way he said it was like, well, I talked for this, and then 20 minutes later, I weave back in and all with perfect pronunciation.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have a hard time. I mean, that's like one of those things that, he at this point will say anything. It's not going to change anybody's mind.
But why? But why? Yeah. That is my question. Like that is forever my question in terms of like no minds being changed. It's like, but why? Why isn't your mind being changed? Given the fact that this guy is a compulsive, like anytime, like, so here's what I now know about politics is that you can lie. Right. And it really doesn't matter because like because I would be scared to death if somebody came in and I was a liar and they were going to fact check me on the spot. And so it would just make me want to tell the truth, not tell more lies.
Right.
So I don't even know where we are with the state of politics in this country, bro, but it's kind of scary. And then another thing that scares me even more is that right now he's throwing spaghetti against the wall in terms of trying to come up with some kind of nickname or some kind of offensive slogan or way that you can kind of relate to the vice president.
Yeah.
And so what you have is you have folks that are historically marginalized that are Trump supporters that are taking that bait, right? And so I have a huge problem with someone who is not as smart as the vice president saying that the vice president is dumb. Like, I find that to be hugely offensive.
Yeah.
And I just it's a hill that I will die on. Like, you cannot be a poor Trump supporter and then be like, this person is stupid. Like, that doesn't resonate for me, because even if she wasn't a vice president, she would still be doing better than you. And so therefore you can't call that person stupid, because if you're calling that person stupid, then it's like the mirror works. And so what are you saying about yourself if you are making a statement about this woman being stupid?
Yeah.
And so how do you contend with that?
I mean, I'm trying. I feel like with all of these things, like, especially with like political debate, like the average person, not like the actual politicians, like you have to find the common ground. Like you have to find the issue or the like identity that's like connected between the two of y'all, and like kind of work from there. And I mean, it's hard enough to find those spaces in person, but like certainly virtually, it's really like you almost exclusively interact with people who have like similar mindsets or viewpoints than you do, like on, based on your social media algorithms or whatnot. And so I think it creates it creates the illusion of a really big divide between people, when actually they're a lot closer than you think. It's just that you never get to see them like interacting as, regular, shoppers at your local Walmart or Costco, or like, your neighbors, or how they interact on a regular basis. But you only see these kind of like hyped up, super hyper political, hypersensitive internet warriors that are unwilling to change their mind publicly because they don't have to. They don't have the accountability of like having empathy or humanity for the other people, for the other side. And so I find that to be really disheartening, because there's nothing. I don't know how you break out of that. I don't know how you break out of that.
Yeah, that's wild. All right, so I'm gonna send us into closing thoughts, because my closing thoughts are gonna be long today. I got a lot. So I'll let you kick us off your closing thoughts. You always got something.
All right. Well, it's the final weekend of the U.S. Open. All of like, because you follow me on Twitter, Ray, like I've been retweeting all of these people who have been making waves. A lot of black tennis players right now who are cooking. Obviously, we had Coco, defending champion. She didn't make it that far this time around, but Donald Young and Taylor Townsend, two black man, black woman, made it to the mixed doubles final. Donald Young was his last tournament ever, and Francis Tiafoe, who's my guy, he's playing tonight in the semifinals. It's just so cool to see black excellence across all platforms, and so I've been really excited about this tournament. I hope it goes all the way.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, bro. And then it being in Arthur Ashe Stadium is only right that we come alive and do the things that we need to do. So folks, if you're listening, couple of quick things, right? First thing is, if you have not watched Lee Daniels' Deliverance, please watch it. It is a movie like no other. It's not even in my top 10 of movies for this year, but it's a really good movie. It's based off of a true story, and shout out Pittsburgh. Secondly, gotta touch on RIP Rich Homie Quan, Atlanta-based rapper that folks are alleging passed away too soon, 34 years old, from an overdose. And so what I want to say is this: you don't know what anyone else is going through, and so the level of empathy and care that you need to have for the next person without judging them is super important these days. And so make sure that you're doing what you can in order to help and assist your strong friends, even those people that help you all the time. And my last thing is, and this is a pet peeve of mine, Target, I feel like y'all are starting to do Walmart shit. And so I went into the Target the other day and I saw 4 different dogs in the Target. And these weren't like the airlines dogs or anything like that. These are like your home pets that y'all bringing into the grocery store or bringing into Target or whatever. And I'm totally against it. That is Walmart behavior. That is not the behavior of Target. So if I walked into Walmart and I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, it's regular. But walking into Target and seeing Walmart behavior, I'm not good with that. And so, yeah, those are my final.
Oh, that's funny.
We'll see y'all next week. Shout out, Steve.
Shout out, Steve. Peace.